I think part of the invitation is we get to be all of who we are going forward. Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Ciel, and I want to welcome you to Dr. Laura Ciel, the podcast, season two. So, welcome if this is the first time you're here. And if you are returning, thank you for being a support in the first season that we launched last fall. There were some really fun conversations with so many different people. And if you haven't listened, take a look. Take a listen, not necessarily a look. And if you're new, welcome this season. I just want to start off by saying last year was, oh my goodness, I don't know about you, but most of the people I know personally and professionally had quite a year of transformation, however you want to look at it. Really intense year with a lot of changes, a lot of opportunities to practice, a lot of opportunities to practice. Okay, who am I? What am I doing? What do I want? What do I need? What do I not want? You know, reflecting, reflecting a lot. A lot more people are, I would say prior to last year, there were more people just going through the motions, whereas last year it was suddenly with many people, maybe you, feeling like I can't go through the motions anymore. I need to change something. So there was this realization that although I might not be able to change certain things in my external reality or even other people, what people say, what other people are saying or what other people are doing, that I might not be able to change that, but I can tap into how I want to respond. I can tap into how I choose to move forward given the givens. I like to think of that, right? Like we can sit here and think about all the things we want to change in the world or, in our next door neighbor or in our partner or in our children or whatever it is. We can think of all sorts of things that we want other people to change. But last year was really a year of realizing, okay, there's a lot coming at me and I don't necessarily have to respond the way that I have been up until now. I can make a decision. I can make choices about it could be about how you interact with someone. It could be how you respond, how you choose to respond. It could be how you chose to recognize and take care of your own needs in a situation. Maybe they weren't being addressed by another person, but you can choose to take care of yourself. That's one way that it might have manifested. But overall, uh, you may have noticed that you just are not willing to tolerate the way that things have been up until now. And if that resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, great. There's no, I'm just speaking to what I have seen, what I have sensed, what I have felt, and what I have gathered in talking to not only talking with my clients, talking with my podcast guests, but also the people I meet as I move through the world. And honestly, also my own journey. Last year was a year of significant change for me. Lots of yeah, a lot of a lot of opportunities to recreate. That's the way that I look at it, right? When a challenge comes our way, we get to decide how do we want to move forward. So when I think of 2024, I think of this was the year we realized we actually have some power. So I know this word is thrown around a lot, empowered. It's almost thrown around so much that it loses a little bit of its meaning. But I really believe, and I would ask you to check in, reflect right now in 2024. Did you get a sense that you're more empowered than maybe you consciously recognized up until then? I think we're being pushed to recognize that. So if you haven't noticed that at all and haven't even thought about it until now, just take a moment, take a deep breath, and just look at 2024 and notice where you are unwilling to continue doing things the same. Notice where you perhaps made some different decisions in your life going forward. And that doesn't always mean it's easy. And just reflect where you feel, even if it's just a little bit more empowered in your in your journey, in your life, in your experiences, in your relationships, in your work. And then my invitation is 2025. I don't think it's going to get a lot easier, but what I really believe is going to happen is now that we have a little taste that we're a little bit more empowered than we let ourselves believe, I believe that this year is a year of building building our trust in ourselves that we can make change. We can do things differently. We can create differently. And I would say can create more aligned with who we really are, create more aligned with our passions, create more aligned with the impact that we want to have in the world, how we want to serve and share our each of our unique gifts. So no matter what you did as a transition from last year to this year, my invitation right now at the beginning of season 2 of this podcast is to check in with yourself and just see, where do I want to build a little bit more trust in myself? Where do I want to expand my confidence in being able to make positive change? And And the invitation is, that's a fun area to explore, play, learn, grow, and check out other people's stories too. How did they do it? What did that look like when he decided to go travel around the world, quit this amazing job? What happened when she decided to take a break and focus on this other area of a passion while also simultaneously holding on to who she is and was in her career? What does it look like to balance being a professional, being an entrepreneur, being a leader, with also being the human being you are within that? Because I think part of the invitation is we get to be all of who we are going forward. And I don't know about you, but what an incredible what an incredible time space dimension we're in, to be invited to show up as all of who we are. In my life, I certainly, for many years, felt like I had to cover up a lot of who I was. Look, to be accepted, to be seen as successful, whatever it is, we all have our we all have our stories that guide some of those behaviors. But the unlearning of that stuff, all of us have picked up some of that, some of us more, some of us less. I mean, for me, I think I picked up a lot of it. I've been un I've been unlearning a lot of that for a number of years, and being more conscious about stepping into who I really am. And the more that I do that, the more the people around me just feel so amazing, right? When I'm trying to twist and turn who I am to fit into someone else's view of who I should be, I don't necessarily feel good in that group of people. It's almost like the wanting to be accepted or seen as, more saying, seen as normal. I don't know, seen as whatever, how a psychologist should be, how a leader should act, those types of things, right? Or how a woman should be, how a woman should act, for me, speaking for myself. And and I think, no, I know that being able to show up fully is who we are in our work, in our leadership, in our communities and our relationships. It's an opportunity for other people to do the same. And when we're doing that, when we are being who we are, as I do my best on this show to be who I am, and I look, I'm still unlearning too. So for me, season two is like, ooh, I get to share a little bit more of who I really am with my audience, with you, and play in that space, right? But as we start to show up more of who we are in our leadership, in our life, in our love, in our relationships, then we get to be in relationship with people who are doing the same. Because what you'll notice is the more that you show up as who you are, the more evident it is when someone is not your people, or when maybe you need to take a step back from certain groups. There may just not be that resonance there. And I get that that is scary, right? That's change. When I talked about my last year and all of the change, there was a lot of that. Making decisions that weren't necessarily easy, but at the same time felt incredibly aligned with who I am at the core. So, wherever you are in your journey, the invitation in this podcast, whether you're listening, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're listening on all of the podcast streaming channels, the invitation is just play in this space, right? I'm bringing guests on. We're having conversations about life, about love, about leadership, about impact, about purpose, about navigating navigating the multiple roles that we each have. And at the core of it, I say this to all my guests when I'm asking them to come on and have a conversation with me on the show. At the core of all of this, for me and for you, if you want, is can we just cut through some of this bullshit? All the stuff that's unnecessary that we just pile on top of ourselves in all parts of our life. Can we just let it go? Can we just recognize that we're incredible human beings and we have so many amazing gifts and so many ways that just by being you, well, let me change that a little bit. You being you is exactly what the world needs right now. You don't have to. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't learn and grow and build skills and stuff. That, of course. But you being you is exactly what the world needs right now. And I can't wait to hear and I can't wait to meet you for who you are. And that's my goal with my guests is to meet them exactly as who they are. And for me to do my best to show up as exactly who I am. So that being said, a couple things that you might not know, and this was happening in season one, but you might not have known because I didn't really share it, I guess. But every single episode, if you're curious about it and you want to do a little bit of deeper dive, there's a free workbook. You don't even have to give me your email. You just click on the link. You have access to it. Use it as you'd like. That's for you if you're curious about the conversation, if it piqued your interest, if you're asking yourself, ooh, how do I relate that or how do I bring that into my life a little bit more? Whatever it is, whatever it is. It could be about creativity, it could be about somatic stuff, it could be about purpose, leadership. We cover a wide range of topics. But the point being, there's a free workbook every week. And you don't have to give me your email. Just click on the link and play with it. See if you like it. See if it helps you expand. If it doesn't, that's okay. you know. The other thing is if you have not already, I would really appreciate you subscribing and even leaving a comment if you have something nice to say. I would love to hear because that helps me to be able to develop the different guest invitations in the future to best serve you. So that's really why. And then what was the last thing I was going to say? Yeah, definitely like subscribe, then you'll get notice. There will be our first episode. We'll be airing. I mean, I guess this is technically the first episode, but the first conversation with a guest will be in 1 week. So if you're subscribed, you will get a notice. And oh, I know the other thing is if there's anyone that you think you'd love to hear in conversation with me on the show, send me a message. I would love that. And if you want to follow any of the other work that I do, or if you want to know ahead of time about the episode that's going to air, get on the mailing list. That link is in the show notes as well. It's just the email list. You don't get a ton of emails. There will be some at the beginning, just letting you know the types of things that I offer and the work that I do. But but you will know, you'll get notice. Everyone on my email list gets to know ahead of time when new episodes air. Obviously, you can get it on any of the platforms, but from us, you will get an email that just has a summary of what the conversation's about and really easy links to listen to it. So those are just a few items to help you take advantage if you want to learn a little bit more, dive deeper. And my invitation this year is join us, join me, join us on whatever platform is fun for you. And let's let's look at this year as a year to tap into our a deeper sense of trust and a more confident way of being in the world, in all of who you are. Because as I said a little bit ago, you are exactly where you're meant to be. And you are incredibly unique. And that uniqueness, rather than trying to push it aside and pretend to be something or try to show something, just be you because you are awesome. So let's have some fun. And I look forward to hearing what you think about this season's episode. I am Dr. Laura Ciel. I'm so passionate about what we are all doing in the world right now. And I'm wishing you the best. And I will see you in the next episode.